Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Legacy Leaders. Today, I'm joined by Jeremy Blanton of BeeSafe, and he has one of the more interesting tales to be told about how he got into business and what his business is doing to address one of the bigger concerns that most private people, businesses have, and that's security. So, before we get into the details, I'm going to take a quick step back. You're off the screen, bud.
Sorry.
There you go. We'll start over. No big deal.
I was moving the keyboard and I didn't realize I clicked the button.
Yeah, you're good. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Legacy Leaders. Today, I'm joined by Jeremy Blanton of BeeSafe. And I have to say, he has one of the more unique stories to be told as far as how he went from being an average Joe working for somebody else to owning his own business. So at Be Safe, they do a lot of things to keep residents, commercial enterprises, and the general community better educated and better protected. So before we get into the details of everything in Jeremy's life, I want to give the camera and the microphone over to him, let him introduce himself, and then we'll talk about some stuff with Be Safe. So, Jeremy, the microphone, the camera are yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, good morning. My name's Jeremy Blanton. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Ohio, northwestern Ohio, um, country boy, to be honest. Went into law enforcement at the age of 20, spent 23 years in the public service field. I also coincided with my law enforcement career, have done security since 99. One of the prestigious, however you want to put it, positions I ever held was being in charge of all the armed security officers for the federal buildings, federal offices, all the federal properties and that here in Ohio. Oversaw those guys. Um, it was fun while it lasted. Gained a lot of new friends, and which actually has helped propel the business as well along the way. Um, yeah, that's about it. I started the company. Did you want me to go in and talk about the business too, or?
Yeah, we can. I mean, my thought is you have this law enforcement part of your life when you were a police officer. You had a security part of your life. You have an investigator part of your life.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
as you build Be Safe out, you kind of realize all these things that were part of my life I can do with Be Safe as a business owner. So how does that all come to be? Like, what was the aha moment that made you realize I can actually make money doing this as a business as opposed to having somebody else be the head of things? So what was the spark? What initiated you to step out and create Be Safe?
Looking at my retirement as a public employee, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to work to the day I die, and that's honestly what went through my mind back in 2011. So it was kind of, I don't know. I always say it's God's way. If I wouldn't
Mm,
be here if it wasn't for God, and so, like in 2011, I had people reach out to me that knew I had traveled the United States doing investigations that of all sorts. And they were wanting me to investigate little investigations for them personally here in Ohio. That, along with looking at people in law enforcement that I've looked up to that was retiring after 25 plus years and hearing that they're having to go work full time somewhere just to make ends meet. I'm like, that's not, when I retire, I want to be done. So I'm
yeah.
like, so that's what made me look at my retirement. I thought, man, how can I make a little extra money on the side and kind of set myself up for retirement? And at the same time, I'm getting hit with a couple different people about investigation. I thought, well, I'll just go get my PI license and start that up and do that on the side. Well, that little startup eventually turned into within 30 days of landing a security officer contract with a local school. And it started out just doing sporting events and just kind of evolved over time with the need of the community. So, like I had in 2012, we had a rash of break-ins in our county, and several people was reaching out to me about, hey, do you do cameras? I didn't at the time. So then I looked into it, and so we started doing cameras. Then also in 2012, a buddy of mine bought a new building, business owner, and he's like, "Hey, do you do access controls?" I didn't. So I looked into it. And when I say look into it, I went out, got certified, looked into all the licensing and insurance and all that stuff to make sure I'm squared away with all that. And then I installed my first access control system in 2012 as well. And then in 2015, I had a homeowners association in Northwest Ohio ask me if I could do smart homes and alarms and stuff like that. So I looked into it, got licensed, insured, certified, all that, started doing that as well. So I just kind of rolled with the flow of things, you know. And I was doing all this coinciding with my full time career on the public service side as well. So a lot of late days, nights.
Yeah.
Well, my late nights were daytime, so I worked third shift
That
full
makes
time.
sense.
But yeah, a lot of hours, a lot of yeah, and then having a wife and two little ones at home, and then at one point I coached little league baseball too, and yeah, I was burning the candle at both ends.
I was gonna say the calendar runneth over at that point. So
Yeah,
it goes to
yeah,
reason that I love the phrase, so I looked into it. You identified somebody has a need for something you could do. You look into it, you get your certification, your training, you get any license that you need, and then you start doing it, and it becomes part of BeeSafe. It becomes part of who you are. And eventually somebody says, "Well, now that you do that, do you do this?"
yeah,
Well, I'm going to look into it, right? So the
yes,
common
sir.
thread that I'm getting out of you, Jeremy, is somebody tells you they need something and you say, "Hang on a second, let me look into it." And you
Yeah,
realize that fits into what I can do. And
yeah,
because it fits into what you do, and it's something you believe in because you wouldn't buy nor endorse any product that doesn't work, it has the full support of your experience as a law enforcement officer, but also the opportunity to be that guy that can retire because you have the wherewithal to do it. So there's a really interesting connection, at least I see it, as a guy that wants more out of life, wants more out of his business or what he gets for income, and finds different ways of doing it by, all right, I'm going to look into it. And when I look into it, I know how to do it. And since I know how to do it, I'm going to do it to the absolute best of my ability. And because of that, I get referrals. And because of that, I'm rated really well when people get a chance to work with me. And because of this approach, it's not grassroots, it's just groundwork, effort, getting this stuff done because you know it fits into the world of what you want to do. So I have to ask the question, how did you come up with the world you wanted to create? What was it that you established as your foundation? Like what is it that BeeSafe stands for?
so make sure I understand you. You're asking what we stand for as a
Yeah. So
company?
yeah, I'm looking at it from a guy that did private investigation, a guy that helped people solve a problem because they needed some work done. And then eventually it's now I'm a guy that has security detail training. I'm a guy that has cameras. I'm a guy that has smart homes. I did all this based off of what? Like, what do you stand for? Other than, yeah, you want to be a
Yeah.
security expert, but there's something behind BeeSafe that
Oh,
stands
yeah.
above and beyond that badass logo you have, right? There's
Thank you.
something to it. So how
Yeah.
would you explain what BeeSafe stands for
It's
when you
going to,
try to articulate who you are?
yeah, it's kind of, some people might think it's cheesy, but one stop shop for all your
Yep.
safety and security needs. Community driven. Like the public servant has never left me, it's still in me. And that is how BeeSafe is structured. We are a
Yeah.
community oriented security company. I don't care if you live in a house trailer. I don't care if you live in a pet house or the White House or however you want to put it. If you have a need, we're not going to turn our noses up to you or our backs towards you like some of the competitors will because you're too small or whatever the case may be, or you're too big and they can't handle it. By
I
God's
love it.
will, we're going to take care of you. We're going to navigate you down the right path. And when I go out and do these consultations and surveys and stuff like that, I everyone's a little bit of a salesperson. That was the hardest thing for me because I cannot stand salespeople. So I hated referring to myself as a salesperson. So I don't. I refer to myself as an educator. So when I go out and do these walkthroughs and that, I educate the people I'm in front of what they need to look into as far as specs and et cetera for, say, cameras. What you need to look at for inside those cameras that's going to work best in that element, that environment that we're putting them in. So whether they go with me or not, I always leave them with more knowledge so that they can make an educated decision whether they want to go with BeeSafe or a competitor. But they know what they're buying at that point,
Yeah.
even if they go with a competitor. So, like I tell everyone, I can install a camera you find on Amazon, or I can install well, we're a federal contractor, a camera that the Department of Defense uses. You tell me what you want, and I'm going to try and
Yeah.
find the best fit for your budget. Now, that's where it gets kind of hairy at times. People don't really want to share their budgets, and I
Sure.
totally respect that. But from someone that has such a broader range of brands and um, abilities, it I could be sitting on a quote for weeks if I really wanted to and come up with all these different scenarios for them. Where if you give me a budget and what you're looking to achieve,
Yeah.
I can mold it to fit. And maybe it's a phase approach, but we can do it. But it just helps me to understand where you're at, how serious you are about protecting yourself and your properties or people you're responsible for.
I like the analogy of you're an educator, right? And the best client or the best customer is an educated customer because they now have the
Yes.
understanding of what's available to them, right? And I would suggest, despite the fact you don't like salespeople, the best salespeople are the ones that do what you're doing, and that is, I'm going to provide you with education and information about what's available. Here are the solutions that make the most sense. If I may, here's my recommendation.
Yep.
Now I'm going to
Yep.
step out of the way and let you make your decision,
Yeah,
right?
yep. That's basically what I do. Like
Yeah.
I don't do hard pressure sales. If I go out and I talk to you, I meet with you, I send you a quote, or my team does. We send you a quote. You'll get an automated thing through our software. But as far as us picking up the phone and calling you, like and grilling you constantly, that doesn't happen. I might pick up the phone after 2 weeks and say, hey, just checking in, following up, trying to get an idea. Is
Yeah.
this in your price range? You want to move forward or you go in a different direction? Just so I know I can shut off the alerts that you're receiving from us. And you'll be shocked how many people I'm batting about 90%, I would say. A lot of people would say, no, we want to move forward. And I'm like, man, I should
Good.
probably call more often, but I don't want to be that pesky person either.
Well, like you said, the educator in you says, I've given you all the information. Now I'm waiting for you to make a decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just need a little bit of push, and that's with the check-in or the follow-up question is, hey man, I'm just checking. I want to see where your head is. I've given you all this information, a lot to consume. I get it. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. But at the end of the day, it's their decision. And if you push somebody to make a decision they're not ready to make, they're going to resent you for making that decision for them. And now you've got a bad reputation. There's plenty of people out there that already do that. Standing
Yep.
among that group that does it the way you do, you separate yourself from everybody else. That's a good thing. When you're thinking about your business, obviously not everything is smooth, not everything is a success story. So when you think about the challenges that you face, what are some of the bigger challenges that you face that you're comfortable sharing and can talk about what you did to solve them?
Challenges I face. Boy, that's a real broad array of stuff. Um, I would say the just a second. The biggest challenge is always employees,
Okay.
uh, in my opinion. Finding a good, working, dedicated employee that shares part of your vision, maybe not the whole vision, but part of it, and will go out and execute.
Hmm.
Um, so finding good people to put in the right positions to carry your mission, drive it home, is one that I think will always be continuous thing, is as we grow and expand.
Yep.
Um, the other, hard hard stuff is really the customers, the clientele. Not our customers, but the ones that reach out to you looking for service or quotes and stuff like that, needing help, right? Is trying to educate them.
Mm,
When you're dealing with, the security industry is a big industry, and there's so many competitors out there. Um, you have competitors at various levels, as I would say. You got your low lying ones that anyone can go buy a camera system on Amazon and install it type companies, and
yep.
they are out there. Um, when you're going head to head with someone like that, it really makes it difficult to drive that sale home when you're looking at someone that's looking at the bottom dollar. So I always like to tell our customers, and I'm sorry if I'm getting sidetracked. I always like to try and tell them, we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but what you're going to get with us is your best value for your
Yeah.
dollar. Um, I couldn't tell you how many times, Scott, that we just had it happen this year. We went out last year, we did a quote for a medium-sized business for surveillance cameras. We cost more than the person that they ended up going with, company they went with. Less than a year later, not even 12 months later, they called us to come back out and readdress
Hmm.
the quote. Let's look at it. So we did a site survey again, and they ended up going with us. Not even a year
Yeah.
later, they were not satisfied with the products they got and the placements. And when I'm going to be honest, when I walked through that site, I was like, who in their right mind would put a camera there pointed that direction when you can go over here bang for your buck? It just
Yeah.
so that's a big. I don't know. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but that's something
No,
that
it's
kind of irks me
it,
a little bit because
and
as a law,
okay. That's
no,
what
I
I
was
was
gonna say,
going for.
yeah,
It irks you that, and this isn't a narcissistic statement. So hear me out. It irks you because you know what your value is, and somebody didn't see it until it was too late, and they already spent money doing something
oh,
else. And if they
happens so.
just would have listened, and that's what I find interesting. Okay, the two challenges that you made comment to, right, are both solved by the same philosophical approach, and it's value. And hear me out, because I think you're telling
Yeah.
the story. It's hard to find good employees that can carry out your mission. It's hard to get customers to understand what they're buying and why they're buying it. Value is the thing that ties that all together, in my opinion. You get good employees that want to carry your mission because they see and understand the value and can portray it to the client
Yes.
seamlessly.
Yes.
Clients have a stumbling block over price because I'm afraid to spend 20% more because I don't want to spend my money on this when I know I can get it cheaper. What they're failing to recognize is the value of their 20% is so much bigger than 20%. So if
Oh
they
my
were to
God.
look at it, they're
Yeah.
actually getting exponentially more value by spending a 20% more than if they just stayed with the lower bid. And the challenge with that is the education piece. Somebody has gotten to them and filled their brain with something that they can't quite understand, and they get, for lack of a better word, candywampus, right? They don't understand what's in front of them. So
Yep.
your education, as good as it is, sometimes it falls on a deaf ear or an ear that doesn't hear until later on because they've experienced exactly what they were not trying to experience.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good signal that BeeSafe is doing the right thing, right? You didn't yell at them, you didn't chastise them and say, "Oh, I can't believe you did the wrong thing." It's, "Hey, I'm sorry you went through that, but let's get you
Yeah.
fixed,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. And that happens quite a bit. And that's even big name companies that we go in behind. And I'm looking at, how they designed it. And it's just like, wow, the person that
Yeah,
did this is just looking for the sale. They didn't really care about the safety and the aspect of how it's actually going to function and work to its fullest potential. That I run into so much. And it really irks me because it's like, man, this person just dropped, let's say 10K on this system and you gave them a 5K solution.
yeah,
And it's like, you drop 10K with us, and my goal is to exceed that 10K in the solution because I want you to go and tell your friends, family, other colleagues, because I believe on word of mouth, and I'll be honest with you, we market very little.
Yeah.
Most of our clients are word of mouth because of the quality of the products and service that we do, and our response
Well,
time is impeccable.
word of mouth is a much better, much
Oh, I'll take that.
stronger,
Yeah, I'll
right?
take that every day over
Yeah,
anything.
because it's Jim telling his neighbor, this is exactly what we got, and this is what we receive from a value perspective, as opposed to, I spent 10 grand on this and I'm not too sure I'm happy with it. It's a very different perspective when it comes from
Yeah,
a word of mouth
yeah,
endorsement. Yeah.
yep, for sure.
If you were to, okay, interesting question. What's the weirdest assumption that somebody has about being a business owner that you would like to say is a complete fallacy?
You have more time to yourself.
Okay. Okay.
uh, and that you're rich. That's probably the biggest thing you hear.
Yeah.
Anyone that owns a business, everyone thinks you're rich and pocket full of money. And no, that's not the case. You'd actually be surprised. Uh, and free time, yeah, you have that flexibility a lot to be able to say, I'm going to go do this for a little bit and that. But when you own a business, your business mind never shuts off. I
Yeah.
don't care if you're at a recital, you're at a family function, whatever it is, your brain is constantly thinking
Yeah.
of business. Hey, I need to do this. I need to do this. And the John follow up on this, stuff like that, right? You're thinking of,
Oh,
are we
100%.
taking care of these customers? Hey, let's not let anything fall through the cracks. That's constantly going. And you're also always thinking, how can I turn this into revenue? How can I get this business? How can I do that? It's funny, all my employees, well, no matter, despite their background, uh, they now tell me every time I go in somewhere, I'm always looking at camera placement, access control, alarms. Like that is what they focus on. And I'm like, yes, pretty much any profession you're in, regardless of what it is. Like if you
Oh,
work
yeah.
on doors, you're probably looking at the doors at every business you walk in. We do the same when it's security related and that.
Dude, I drive people crazy whenever we go to restaurants, and my first inclination is they could be doing so much better. They could be doing
Yeah,
so much better. Like, how do you miss the opportunity to treat somebody well so they'll come back as opposed to thank you for the transaction? Like, you could be doing
yeah,
such a better job, right? But
yes,
it's difficult, right? When you're a business owner, you're constantly thinking of new and impressive ways to get things done. And I echo that. What I want to hear you say is, I have the availability to get to a point where I don't think about my business every day. When does that point ever happen?
man. If you can find that for me, whoo, game on. Let's do it. Because
Yeah, no,
it's
because it's an interesting phenomenon, right?
yeah,
I was having a conversation today. You go to a bank, you get out a loan, you say, I'm going to start this business, and that what you end up creating is a job for yourself that you get to go to every day. You own it, but
yep,
it's a job you do every day. So at one point, the team takes over. At one point, you take a little bit of your own flexibility away from the business, but eventually the business is running without you there.
yes.
So when you get to that point where now you're making strategic business decisions without having to do the work yourself, but now you're delegating, what's it feel like to be the delegator in your own business?
That's a great question. So when I refer back to when I said employees as being one of the hard ships,
Yeah.
uh, I I had just hired a guy that I can see he shares the vision and he's got the motivation, the work ethic, all that. Older gentleman, previous business owner too.
Oh,
That he is kind of taking like my chief of staff position, and I'm starting to delegate. He's still in training, but he's almost out of it. I'm slow rolling him in the training aspects and all that.
hmm.
So once he's done, I'm gonna be delegating a lot of stuff to him because I know he's gonna follow through. He's got great follow through. Once you can get the right people in the right places, then you can delegate stuff. and it
Yeah.
will help a lot and let you focus more on your visionary, like, your growth or other aspects that is more of a revenue generator
There you
than
go.
bogged down doing the stuff that, yeah, it might make you a little bit of money, but as a business owner, no one will share your vision like you do. No one's the
Correct.
rainmaker over you. I don't care if you have the best salesperson, they're never going to be the rainmaker. You're always going to be the rainmaker
Hmm.
because it's your livelihood, it's your vision,
Hmm.
it's what your heart and soul is invested in it. I always tell people all the time too, when it comes to talking to these clients and that, the difference between me and even my guy, and I got great guys on staff, when we go out and we talk about stuff, in my voice, you can hear where I'm invested. I'm passionate about it versus the guy over here that's a great sales guy, but he doesn't have that heart and soul built into it. He
Yeah.
knows what he's talking about, but the passion's not there. To him, it's, well, yeah, we can help you, we can do this and that. I still get a paycheck. Me, it's like
Yeah.
we have to keep the revenue coming in because number one, it's my family's livelihood. I have no other
Yeah.
source of revenue. But like I tell everyone, and it's funny, I get looks, and I love doing it too. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw out some numbers because right now I couldn't tell you. I'm like, yeah, I got 10 wives, 30 kids, 10 houses, doing that. And people just look at me. I'm like, because I'm responsible for my employees' families' livelihood
Yeah.
as well. So if I don't make the right decisions and keep this going the right way, when it crumbles, if it ever crumbles, that's costing so many people's livelihoods, and I feel that responsibility,
Yes.
make sure they're
And-
paying their bills, they're putting food on the table, they're able to go on vacations with their family and all that, they're able to pay for a dentist or whatever it is. So,
Mhm.
that's a lot of burden on someone's shoulders. I don't stress over it, but I keep that there knowing that yes, failure is not an option. Too many people are.
And I think that's the owner's mentality, right? As you say, I'm standing in front of a client and I'm passionate about what I'm doing because one, I know I can help you. Two, I'm going to educate you so you make the right decision. But third, and none less important, there's 10 people behind me that I need to take care of, as opposed to a sales rep that walks in and goes, I'm taking care of me. Right.
Yep.
And rightfully so, he or she should have that mentality. I'm taking care of me. But when you level up into the owner's suite, it's very different because
Oh yeah,
now if this
absolutely.
doesn't work, there's a bunch of people that are going to be displaced or unhappy. So the responsibility, the ownership and accountability that it takes to be an owner is very different. And it takes a certain mentality to be that owner. And it clearly at BeeSafe, you're doing the right thing by pushing yourself to be that value opportunity for anybody looking for security or protective services. So thank you for doing all the great stuff that you do. I find it interesting how the technician becomes the owner, and all of a sudden the owner has a complete different viewpoint on what it means to be a technician, right? Because now you
Yeah.
treat your people differently because you were that guy, and now that you're responsible for him and everything else, you know how he or she is looking to be treated, and you treat him the right way. And that's how they follow your vision. That's how they get involved with your mission because they know what it's all about. So,
Yeah.
testament to you, right?
Well, thank you. Our hiring process is possibly unique. I don't know if others do it, but I will bring people in and I'll do a PowerPoint presentation to them on the business. I want to
Yeah.
educate them about our business, what my vision is, where I want to go, what heights I want to achieve for the business, and that I want them to know the full spectrum of everything that we do. And like I tell everyone, I'm like,
Mm.
look, for you to be a great employee, I always use this analogy. The glove has to fit the hand and the hand has to fit in the glove. So that what I mean by that is this has to work for you as much as it works for
Yeah.
us.
I
It
would
may
agree with
be
that.
great. It may be great, but what's great isn't always the best for each person. So they have to make that decision and be full sold on it. Yes, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully it works out. So like
Well,
I took the one guy, the Ryan's his name, that I just hired. He's in training. I took him and his wife. I took my COO, my wife, who's a business administrator, myself, of course, invited Ryan and his wife out to dinner. We went out to a nice steak dinner, and We haven't even hired yet. We're just open discussion. We already had the
Yeah.
interview. Now I want to bring his wife in and have open discussion, just casual discussion, so she can ask questions. She can do it because it's a commitment.
Yes.
And I want
It's a
her to
team
be comfortable.
environment.
Yes, I want her to be comfortable because there's going to be rough days, I'm sure. He'll go home and blah, blah, and she's going to be like, honey, and lift him back up because she knows the vision now. She sees it and she's bought in as well.
I love
Like you
that.
said, it's a whole team environment, family and all.
Well, you've nailed a pretty good word for it, and that's family. It sounds like BeeSafe has got a really strong family. Um, we've been talking for over half an
First,
hour, and
family
it's
first.
time to shut down, unfortunately. Great conversation. Really appreciate everything you had to say, the insights from the background to the middle and where you are now. If you had one final thing to say, we've got 2 minutes. What would be the one thing you'd want the audience to learn about yourself and your journey as a business owner?
Myself, my journey as a business owner. Uh, as a business owner, never be conceited.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, be humble. Don't be
Always,
conceited.
always,
Don't be bigger than your britches.
yeah, yeah, and always be willing to learn. Like
There you
right
go.
now, I'm going through coaching classes as a CEO because I know I can be better. Because the better
Yeah.
I am, the better I am for the team. And the leader's got to be the best one on the field, or you crumble. You got to have a
Yeah.
quarterback that can throw a touchdown or
That is
orchestrate.
true.
Let's put it that way.
That is
So
true.
no, I mean that's probably the biggest thing is stay humble, always be willing to learn. No, that's the biggest thing. Always willing to learn and have an open door. Not a
There you
lot of
go.
owners will keep an open door for people, and we are very family oriented here. And like I tell all my guys, I'm my family first, each and every time.
Yeah.
If your kid gets sick, we'll take it off, whatever the case is. We're there for you. As a business owner, I've paid for my employees' electric bills. Times got hard for them, and I don't gloat about it. I'll go back and tell people, but it's the little things that help.
And it's the
You
right
know,
thing to do. Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
And I'm sure they appreciate it more than you know.
I have some very loyal guys because they actually see the heart that we have
Yeah.
here at BeeSafe for the
Well,
things we
that's a good
do.
word too. Jeremy, I want to thank you for being a part of this. And sorry that the time got cut off so short because there's a lot of great conversation I'm
Oh
sure
man,
we
I
can
can talk for
continue to
days.
have. Yeah, yeah, we can. Thank you, everybody. Pay attention to the next episode when it comes out. But Jeremy, thank you for being a
Hey,
part of the
thank you.
Legacy Leaders.
I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Bye
Appreciate
now.
you. All right, take care.